Okay, this is day 160. I think it's part 7. So we're going to go back to real reporting. I don't want to show that sign, so I'm going to go this way. Okay. So the real deal is I just talked with a boarding officer in the Coast Guard and had about a half an hour conversation with him, and he confirmed everything that we've said in the series. The concepts of maritime data awareness, the MDAs and sectors that we talked about with our whistleblower friend who worked on the SAIC systems to manage these MDAs, was confirmed by this boarding officer of the Coast Guard. He got a pretty high level, not all the way to the intelligence officer level, but pretty darn high in the Coast Guard. And he was in Florida, so he managed all the sectors and so forth. So all the things we said about handoff and sectors and the protocols and so forth, I was under the impression international waters was 12 miles, but he said the full flight of, when you were going to create an international incident was 25 nautical miles, which is considerably further out. But again, every time I talk to somebody on the front lines, it's always worse. It's always worse. Everything I've said in the series is as shocking as it is. These guys always on the front lines. I talk to the people on the front lines, always say it's worse. The trafficking out of Haiti, a lot of the, what he said, his words, not mine, Fort Lauderdale, Ukrainian girls, Russian girls, Czech girls, girls from South America, girls from Central America. His words, not mine. We have a lot of witnesses in there. A lot of people have watched the channel. The black girls from Haiti moved up here to mainly black neighborhoods here, Chicago, Detroit, Minnesota, etc., Cleveland. I'm sure Washington, D.C., where I am, 92% black. That's where those girls were going. And again, picking out the best. So the Coast Guard creates what they call a matrix. So we talked all about drug interdiction and all this sort of thing. They create a matrix with a fingerprint, like a little, when you get a FedEx package and you put your signature. Well, they have a thing that actually categorizes all these kids that are being put into this matrix. Now, I asked him, does that get up? And I got the cigar going again today. Does that go up to ICE? Does that go up to DHS? I said, did you work on GTTF teams? All that sort of thing with the Coast Guard, kind of like our Chris Whitaker out of South Carolina. Was it Southcom Miami? Yes, it was Southcom Miami. Were there certain boats, rich boats, like Joe Crowley's boat? I'm not saying it was Joe Crowley's boat with Wackenhut G4S. I'm not saying it was Joe Crowley's boat. He's a representative in Long Island or whatever, the Queens part of New York. I'm not saying it's Joe Crowley's boat, but there were certain given people where they got a free pass. And you ever interdict a boat, etc., and then they collected your statements and so forth in order to prosecute and never went anywhere. Jag crushed it. Jag, threw it away. Yep, almost every one of mine. And he's the same thing. I saw the same people over and over and over. My crew is frustrated. I had the intelligence officer, the E9, call me off deals where, like, man, we got this thing. We followed this thing. We all the fake White Rabbit boats that they sent off in different directions. We followed the right boat. We got it, and now all of a sudden it goes away. So, but the main thing that I wanted to confirm was the uptick in heroin and 2009-ish territory. And I'm not saying it's when Hillary comes into office as Secretary of State, but are the drug runners that run the cocaine, did they then pick up the traffic from Pakistan? That was the key question I wanted to ask him. And he said, yes, 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 yes. Now, the people who are on this channel and in the chats know who I'm talking about. You know where I am and know who I'm talking about, and they can verify it. And it was right there with 3 witnesses that watch my channel all the time. Again, this is DIA agent George Webb Swigert reporting, or whatever my real name is, I guess, telling you this is the deal, direct from a boarding officer in the Coast Guard. This is the thing we need to get away from, and it's going to be DEA licenses. DEA licenses. Somebody in FBI, SESs were getting warm. We're getting warmer when we say SES Core, which is FBI DEA. Now, who approves those licenses? I've talked a lot to surgeons and so forth. They get hammered by the DEA, state board licensing. They renew it every year, all kinds of things. If you prescribe codeine, you get a letter saying you're going to lose your license if you don't, do a long explanation. If you propose Oxycontin or fentanyl patches, you're good to go, even though fentanyl has a half-life of 20 minutes. So we're really getting into the front lines. And again, it doesn't matter if I'm DIA, FBI, CIA, JTTF, ABC, LMNOP. It doesn't matter. This is information from the front lines so that you have knowledge of what's actually happening and why we do have the drug trafficking problem. The same runners, this is the key thing that I wanted to learn today and hear from the Coastie himself. The key runners are the same people that ran the cocaine. Same key runners ran the Pakistani opium into the country. Cocaine kills people. I realize that. Opiates kill far more. I really am going after the opiate deaths. That's what we're really going after here. We'll have more on this for you, but that's the first installment of, let's call it Deep Coast Guard. Let's call it Deep Coast. Deep Coast. Oh, no. Deep Florida. He'll be Deep Florida from now on.